On Need for Speed The Run, there's story, there's race, there's intensity, there's anxiety, there's all sorts of things that you're supposed to do. So you start with the basics, you start with writing a theme. We want to have a really cinematic, big, epic score, but with like hip elements, and you need a lot of different types of music to support the action and the story.
We always try to have very, very cool and very edgy music in Need for Speed, but I think, over the past few years we've tried to really tailor the licensed music more to really fit the vibe and the overall feeling of that game specifically. In the case of The Run, you want to capture a feel of that American culture and driving across the country in America, and what would people that are doing this race, what would they be listening to? We listen to a lot of music, and I think the biggest part of it really comes from a gut feeling on that band and what it makes you feel when you hear their music.
The Run has a very specific kind of sound. The creative process is spurred on actually by looking at the game and playing it, especially with Need for Speed, the series. I'm a fan of the series. So the inspiration really, it's something that's pretty natural to me only because it's part of what I've been doing for years just as a player. You can have orchestra and that kind of thing playing, but that doesn't really tell the whole story. You need to have things like guitars like this. It all kind of fits together like this, and when you put all the instruments together, it sounds like this. There are enough sounds going on in Need for Speed to fill up the entire sound spectrum without even music. So you have crashes, you have sirens, you have all sorts of explosions. So what we try to do is find ways to carve out space so the music can actually be there to enhance the experience, the emotional experience. I'm able to listen to the car sounds even, like it's a V6. Why don't we do something with a bass guitar, because a V6 can allow a bass guitar riff. And whoa, no, this is more V12. I think maybe like a higher kind of guitar might work with some drums. Sometimes actually we think, you know what, it'd be better to just cut out music here for a while. We're constantly having to figure out ways to time and trigger the music to match the experience. Things are happening naturally, like you do something and then all of a sudden it's almost like the music knew you were going to. The music will be ratcheting it up, and then I'll go to some kind of slow motion sounding music when the player like leaps from one building to the next. I don't just kind of write a piece and say, here it is. It has to actually be a core of a piece, and then it goes into different areas, literally, where the player can go. The sound guys, they'll take my music in the different parts of the music, and then if a player does X, Y, or Z, all of a sudden it goes into this drum solo, and I hear myself just drumming. I'm surprised by the way that it's being utilized in really in original, creative ways by the entire audio team. You want to get that heartbeat racing. The key to that is making sure that you have the best sound you can. With things like Beats Audio, now it's crossed that threshold into, wow, you can have this cool racing experience really anywhere, if you have a huge setup or even a pared down one. Like any kind of motif-driven thematic score, the music will point towards something or point towards a character. Now, in this case, the music is speaking for the intensity of the player. So, in a sense, I am writing the theme specifically for whoever's playing the game. I have to get inside the head of the player, hopefully, and enhance the experience kind of from within. You need to be on the knife edge, on something like Need for Speed to really pull it off successfully.